Robots Radio presents...
Today's chat is brought to you by the support of all our Twitch subscribers. Through the patronage you provide the Focus Fire chat team through the Twitch platform, we are able to provide you with the weekly podcast as well as the website and other aspects of Focus Fire chat. If you have any interest in becoming a subscriber of the FFC and gaining access to some exclusive features over in the Discord server, please be sure to visit our Twitch account and click on the subscribe button. If you're an Amazon Prime member, remember that you do have a free subscription to Twitch every month that can be used for this. And for those of you who are already subscribers, thank you again for your generosity.
You may have heard the whispers of guardians gathering in the shadows, exploring the mysteries of this world and the worlds which surround us. We are all in search of truth. Sometimes we need to focus that search. Focus that fire. And so we come together. Welcome to Focused Fire Chat.
Welcome to Focus Fire Chat, recorded live on October 2nd, 2020 over on twitch.tv/FocusFireChat. As always, I want to give a big shout out to our live chat here with us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us once again. This week's episodes are going to be focused around the exploring upcoming hikeable area, Europa. This particular episode will serve as what we have come to call the intro session of the week's exploration. Before we go any further, however, let's run through a quick introduction of who all we have with us on the show. As always, this is your host, Blue Crew 86.
And the going to slightly corrupt you with emotes, green-eyed music lover.
My feed
Corgi.
just
Corgi.
erupted with candy corn on stream, and I'm very confused.
Corgi. Corgi.
We'd also
Corgi.
like to welcome to
Corgi.
the team our resident otter mom. Hey, it's Orchid.
Hello.
Yee! Orchid's
Yay!
part of Focus Fire Chat too, guys.
Yay! I'm here forever.
Okay, that scared me a little bit. Not gonna lie. Jay,
As it should.
help.
Jay's like,
I'm still being thrown off because Pizza Trains is flooding the stream with candy corn emotes. Oh man. All right. Well, man, it's been a while since we've had a new member of the podcast team. So I don't know what to do now.
oh.
Let's have Orchid talk about herself, what she's done with lore, where we can find her, all the things we have normal people do on the show, and then make it even more special because she's staying around.
Okay. Usually you can find me on this other podcast called Guardians of Lore. Friend of this podcast, other podcast.
Member of the Lore Network.
Where you can find many fine content creators. And you can find me on Twitter at Hey It's Orchid, and I stream on Twitch also at Hey It's Orchid many times per week. I don't know. I like lore. It's fun. I
like lore. It's fun.
I was more into like the shooty shoots in Destiny 1. And because
You're also into the fashion.
I'm very much into the fashion. Resident fashion winner in Destiny. I have the fashion award.
See that new emblem that they're coming out with?
I'm gonna win it again. You better believe it. And then I'll be 2-time fashion award winner.
Oh,
Hey, it's Orchid.
well, here's the question for you then. Because you sound very, very hunter-ish, hun. What are you calling yourself anymore? Because last time you were doing Titan for a while, then you switched back to Warlock, but you were originally a Warlock, and I still think you need to try Hunter for a little while. Just try us on for size, see how you feel.
Oh, okay. So I have to tell you, there is something I did. So when I was trying to finish, so this is how I became part of this podcast. I'm convinced of this. Let me tell you the story. So I was going for the Chronicler seal. And the only way that I could get this lore triumph seal was to do the how was it, the story, the heroic story mission for, was it the mechanic? I think.
Oh
and-
yeah. The
For that one
And the
last
Tangled
piece
Shore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that one last piece of lore, and that was the last one I was missing. So, like an idiot, because I was halfway through Forsaken on my Warlock, because I'd been playing it with my brother, I was like, well, I can't redo it because I couldn't find it, and I couldn't think of like, oh, I'll just, just go find it on like the story mission board. So I was like, I'll just do it on my Hunter. So I got my Hunter out after having not played on my Hunter for seasons. This isn't season, it's seasons. And
I can't wait to hear how that went over.
Oh God, I died so many times. I'm like, my thought process the entire time was, how jump? This is dumb. Like, why not?
It's
flute?
the jump that makes sense. What's your problem?
Why not?
Plays a
flute?
Warlock.
Why
It's
there's
the opposite.
There's no float. A shoulder charge when? Why not lightning fingers?
I hit
Why
the jump
can't
button
eat?
and I didn't float. Yeah, you
Why
jump
can't eat?
because you hit the jump button and
No
you jump.
eat.
That's what happens.
It was very difficult. I was like, oh, why? Oh, smoke. Why? Why did this happen?
I love
Why
smoke.
dodge
He's,
smoke? Why invisible?
he's my favorite.
That
That is my class you are talking about,
I
Missy.
know the entire time. That is what I was saying essentially out loud, because you think when I'm streaming, that is just how I stream. No, this is how I actually play by myself in my room when I'm sitting with my cats. It's just a stream of consciousness all the time. So
Amazing.
I
Panic, the
very
one
much
that the floor
struggled
is
through
lava?
it with my Hunter just so I could find that last piece of lore, and then you better believe I quit that mission like a hot potato.
Oh my god.
I was like, goodbye.
Oh my god.
This is so hard. And then I put it on and I was going to like take a picture, and I was looking real good in my outfit, and I was like, oh God, I almost took it on my Hunter. My Hunter has the lore title. I got to change this. Like, what am I doing with myself? No one's going to believe I did it because it's on the wrong character.
Oh my
terrible.
goodness.
So I'm a Warlock, but I'm a Titan on the inside.
You really are a Titan on the inside.
I'm a Titan on the outside too, but everyone always that I play with always needs a Warlock, so I'm always a Warlock. Because most of my friends are Titans. So they're always in need of a Warlock.
Yeah. I may have broke chat because I made a confession.
Oh no.
I don't have Chronicler, guys.
So are you saying
Well, yeah, but
that
that's
I had to
because
get it to be on this show, but you don't have it? Are you fired
Yeah,
now?
no. I'm still missing like
Am I taking
half
your
of the
spot?
Maracena.
Aren't you? You're missing the Ahamkara eggs, right?
Well, the eggs and the bones, because
Okay,
there's not all of them. I only have a few of them left. I just haven't finished it.
That is an understandable thing to miss, because there's a couple of those that are just like I don't.
Yeah, it's just I've not gone back and done it.
Really
That's all it is.
Jumping to get a couple of them, especially in the what was it, the Ascendant or not dungeons, but the Ascendant pockets or whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh God, I think there's two of them that come to mind that like literally it took a long time because you had to jump. You had to steal, like there was the one that you had to steal a sword and then turn around and jump over like this entire expanse. And I was just like the entire time I'm like,
yeah, I mean those were those in the patrol zones. Mm-hmm. Those little things that if you went into, most of them were in lost sectors.
yeah.
The one behind the spawn-in point in the Dreaming City was the one that comes to mind. But yeah, those I have left, and I have I think one or two left in Shattered Throne. I soloed through Shattered Throne to get most of them, so I have the ones that are not past the ogre, because I never made it past the ogre because that guy is a jerk.
I go with you. I go with you.
Yeah,
Except not on
I'm fine with
PlayStation.
that. Yeah, I know. We could do it on PC.
Yee.
Yee.
As
But-
Dancing has pointed out, speaking of hikeable areas, that is such a good transition point.
Roamable.
I like hikeable. It's hikeable
roamables.
forever.
Let's talk about all the collectibles that are available in the hikeables.
Yep.
For anybody who's actually paying attention to this episode and still with us, that's what we were referring to as destination.
Patrol zones.
I don't
Patrol
zones. I don't even
zones?
know what
Yeah.
we're
Patrol
supposed to call them.
areas.
So
We're
yeah,
trying to
gonna talk about
decide what
Europa.
the official term for an area that you can pull your Sparrow out in and ride through that is not a specialized mission.
Yes. Hikeables.
Hikeables.
Discoverables.
You heard it here first. Discoverables? That's not what that is.
No, you find the
That's
discoverables in the
incorrect.
Hikeables.
Yes.
That's what you do.
Oh my God.
You
And you put
find
them in your picnic
discoverables and
basket.
collectibles in the Hikeables with your picnic
Yeah,
basket.
With your picnic basket. Guys, we solved it. We solved Destiny. We can all
Hey,
go home now.
boo-boo.
Goodbye.
Let's go start the episode.
Hey.
Hey.
So we're gonna kind of just tear through this a little bit. There's actually, sadly, there's not a huge amount of information just yet about Europa within in-game. So a lot of what we do know has been from a series of, let me see real quick. I think it's like actually I do have like 5 articles. So I have collected some information from, there was a spotlight back on September 22nd, which was around the same time that they dropped the Europa trailer. And then also there is a couple little snippets from Beyond Lights. The Bungie has like a hub page for each season. So I've gotten a couple like little snippets out of there. And then there was an amazing article that they had that's called 100% Chance of Snow, which was on the, September 23rd, which actually, if you haven't read that, I really strongly suggest reading it. It's got some really cool discussion points about the actual aesthetics of Europa. So it's really, and they're talking about like the weather systems and how they've kind of redesigned it to be a dynamic system. It's really cool. So I figure we'll probably talk about the weather systems and like the fine tuning of the space. That'll probably be more in the advanced session. The intro session, really, I was thinking we can look at the segment that Bungie has started kind of calling Europa Awaits, is what they've referred to it as. But before I do that, just a couple special announcements. First, obviously, welcome to Orchid. She's now officially part of the team, so you're going to get stuck with her. Second, thelorenetwork.com. Please give it a look over. Let us know what you think. As we talked about last week, we've kind of repurposed the way that the site is laid out. So I want to make sure that it is conducive to what you guys are looking for out of that site. As I get a little bit more free time, I'm going to start looking at transferring some of the resources that I have built personally over on Google Drive. So like all my list of definitions of player, like major figures within the Destiny universe, the timeline, all that stuff, I'm going to try to make sure that we get that over onto the website for everyone to actually have a one-stop place to find that stuff. So keep an ate out on that and let me know if that works for you guys, if there's a better way of delivering that system or that information. Please let me know. Let's see, what else do I have? Oh, the other thing I have, I got another email from Loot Crate. They are doing, again, the Destiny limited edition Loot Crate. If you are interested in doing that and you haven't already purchased it, we do have a affiliate link with Loot Crate, and if you are going to purchase it anyways, if you purchase it through that link, we actually get some credit for it. So it's just an easy way to support us, and it doesn't cost anything extra from you. So, if you're interested in supporting us and you like some Loot Crate stuff, Loot Crate usually has some pretty good little things in there. So I know if you get, I think I was looking at it, if you get all of it's a quarterly crate, not a monthly crates, but if you get all the quarterly crates, you actually get like a Traveler figurine, which I don't know. I haven't seen it just yet.
Do you remember the code word, our word for the promo on it?
Yeah,
or is it in the...
So we'll put the links in show notes on the Podbean site. That's another thing I'm going to be trying to update and make sure there's an easy way to get to. Show notes will have the link. If you use the link and then the code is Robots Radio, it'll be all in the show notes as well. It's just in there. That will, on some of the crate subscriptions, that actually gives you I think it's like a 10 or 15% discount. Actually, it's a nice little discount. So, but yeah. So that's all.
Robots Radio with the plural, not just singular.
I believe so.
Yeah, that's also a network that we are part of. The FFC is.
Yes.
So
But yeah, so that's my spiel there.
Cool.
Yeah, feedback for the website, I would just, I always ask for it because it's just always helpful to hear back on stuff about that. So let's talk about Europa. I know we have, this is an actual place, for those who don't pay attention to the things that go on above the sky. This is a moon of, I'm going to blank, Jupiter. There we go. Jeez, because it's called Jupiter 2. It is one of the what's referred to as the Galilean moons, which are 4 moons discovered by Galileo. And they were discovered back in 1610. And so Europa is named after a Phoenician figure within mythology who is the mother of King Minos of Crete. And I know this is going to come as a shock to a lot of people who don't know much about Greek mythology, but she was a lover of Zeus. Yeah, I was waiting for that experience.
That dog. I wonder if Hera knows about this.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to write her an email right now. I'm going to leave him a bad review on Yelp.
90 to 95% of the problems in Greek mythology is because Zeus couldn't keep his pants on. That's just it right there.
Zeus so thirsty.
Europa is actually a really cool little place. It is probably one of the places that is not just fascinating to look at, because actually the promo pictures that that Bungie has of the red lines, that is actually pretty accurate to Europa. Mm-hmm. It's really pretty, but it's actually also one of the places that we know has a lot of liquid water. And it's below what's referred to as an ice shell. The ice shell of Europa is about 10 to 15 miles thick. So it's literally a planet. It's literally a ball of ice, but within that ball of ice is this ocean, and it's thought that the ocean is the entire moon. And the reason that the reason that Europa is able to have that liquid is because the core is being constantly, basically similar to Titan, it's being constantly shoved back and forth with gravitational forces from Jupiter. So it's constantly in this flux of being bounced between all these different gravitational fields. And because of that tension, it's actually creating heat that is melting the ice within its core. Now, it's also got no atmosphere, so it's really cold, hence the ice shell. I believe that I'm trying to remember if we've actually landed any of our satellites on Europa. I know that the Galileo satellite went by in the 90s and actually got some really cool pictures.
I don't remember if I've seen anything, because I have, for those of you who follow on Twitter, I have NASA photos that go out daily, and a lot recently has actually been about Europa, which is kind of amusing, but I haven't seen anything about a probe or a satellite heading out there.
I can't remember. I know Europa, Venus, and Mars have been in the news this past week.
To give you a really interesting comparison to real life with Europa versus Earth, the Earth's crust, like the oceanic crust, so the distance under the ocean to the what would be, what is it called, the upper mantle, is only 5 kilometers thick. If that's only 2.5 miles, it's about. Yeah. So 11 miles worth of ice versus the oceanic crust being only 2.5 miles. That's a huge amount. Huge change. Anyway. Blue. Did I make you lose your spot?
No, someone asked me about Armada, which was a 2015 novel by Ernest Cline, who wrote Ready Player One. I think they're saying that Europa. I have not read Armada, so I'm not really sure. But I think they said that Europa was kind of mentioned or featured in that novel. So I'm not sure. Pizza. That was in chat. Pizza Trains asked that. I'm not sure about that. It would not surprise me. Europa is, like I said, Europa is mostly ice. It's mostly solid water. It is slightly smaller than our own moon. It is actually less than a quarter of the size of Earth. And like I said, it orbits Jupiter. It is so Jupiter is the fifth planet from the sun, and it is about 484 million miles from the sun. So yeah, it's really far out there. As far as like the rotation of Europa around Jupiter, it is one orbit of Jupiter every 3.5 Earth days. So it's about it's a long time. The other thing about Europa is, like a lot of the Galilean moons, it is actually tidally locked. So what that means is, similar to Titan, the same face of Europa will always face Jupiter. It doesn't actually, the way it rotates, it's always facing the same way in regards to Jupiter. It is, like I mentioned, it is extremely thin atmosphere, so it is very, very cold. Unlike the other places that we've talked about, there is actually probably no possibility at all. You would need a breathing apparatus to be there, not to mention a really, 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 really big blanket. Almost like your bathrobe, Orchid.
Are you sassing my bathrobe blue?
No, I'm just saying it looks really warm, and it would probably suit you very well on Europa.
No way. Europa's all water. I would get wet.
It would also be way colder. Like, we're going to be doing a little bit over Io next week, and Io gets to negative 270 degrees. Mm-hmm. I want to say Fahrenheit.
Yeah, I think
no, thank you.
Yeah, it's a bit chilly.
Just a bit.
So you mentioned that it's a bit moister than usual. Europa's subsurface ocean actually contains more than twice as much water as Earth. So think about that. Europa is less than a quarter of the size of Earth, and it contains more than twice as much water.
So Julie asked me about Europa, and she asked me what we were talking about tonight, and I said, hey, we're going to talk about Europa. And she's like, okay, what's Europa like? I was like, you're like, expect to see Luke walking around with a tauntaun. That's Europa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not lukewarm, though. It is pretty cold.
No.
But it's all wet, though.
I would not be surprised if Drifter pulled a Luke and then ate it.
That's what he was getting out of the cages. They were just really feral tauntauns.
Maybe. If
Chat now wants a tauntaun sparrow.
Yes, I want a tauntaun sparrow. Just something that you can... How would that even look? They would have to change the positioning of the guardian on a sparrow to make that work.
I just want the horn to have the tauntaun scream.
No, get the kind of sparrow that you can that you essentially do a lowrider in, and then just make it go over, clip yourself into it, so it looks like you're zipped yourself into the body.
Yeah, but the problem is that the character model would have to be shifted, because all the sparrows have the same character model, right? Even the only one who
bear.
The only one that I can think of that doesn't is the little scooter. The tiny, the
kids ride scooter.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Black Flag actually added to the orbit of Europa. So he says Io, Europa, and Ganymede have a resonance orbit. So every time Ganymede orbits Jupiter once, or Europa orbits twice, and Io orbits 4 times.
That's cool.
That's really cool. And then,
nice.
Yes, Drifter, a potential Drifter quote is being offered. You ever tasted a tauntaun roasting on a flaming fallen drag? Transmat firing.
I swear to God, that said flamingo for a second. I was like, what does that even mean?
We are going to see Fallen on Europa. That was confirmed, and I think in one of those articles, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yep.
Absolutely.
That the splintered houses of the Fallen have rallied and built their new empire on the icy moon of Europa.
I'm very excited. Yeah, no, I'm very excited.
Mm-hmm. Because Aramis is the Kell of Darkness.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just want to see
that
that
is
harpy
got
with
so many
legs.
that's got so many implications. Yeah. So
Well,
go
does
for
it though?
Green.
Because we already had the Scorn, which had their own flavor of different kind of bad guy,
Well-
and the Devil Splicers, which is another. Like basically, the Fallen are. I don't know. They're like very liberal in their breeding habits / assimilation habits.
I was thinking more because the opposition to Mithrax, who is the Kell of Light.
Sure. You want to go with the logical answer?
I'm sorry, I'm stuck on breeding habits of the Fallen. My brain got stuck for a second. I'm very sad to say.
Okay, what about some of the other stuff we know from the trailers on it?
Right.
Well, so really quick, the introduction that we get from Europa is actually in the trailer, which was really cool trailer. They introduce it basically as it's also where we hear Varric's return, which is another kind of thing that's going to be an interesting. I'm interested to see how they bring him back into the whole thing, because it sounds like Varric's is actually on Europa as well. But Varric's goes on to say, "What have you seen out there? Look beyond the frozen wasteland. Europa is a place of many mysteries. Do not lose your way. We all come to this moon looking for answers. What do you hope to find here?" And then it's actually described as a desolate wasteland where every gust of frozen wind whispers long-lost secrets and further buries the mysteries beneath your feet. You arrive on the heels of a dark empire that grows in power. Stand against the blizzard and press on, Guardian. Aramis must be stopped. So, a couple of things to kind of tease apart there. With the artwork and some of the snippets from the trailer that we've seen with Europa, we've also gotten confirmation that we're going to be seeing the Deepstone Crypt. So the Clovis Bray hints have all been kind of affirmed in a way that Europa is going to be the location of at least one of the hub stations for the Deepstone Crypt.
And I believe that's going to be the raid.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain it's the raid too.
I could see that. I could see that. It would make sense that would be the case, because I'm just hoping that it's not just the raid, because the Deepstone Crypt has the potential to be a lot more than just a single play, like a single thing. And I would be surprised. Oh, go for it.
Oh, I was just thinking that the facility itself may be a more explorable facility, like in Last Wish. We can go to areas of the Dreaming City that are also part of Last Wish, but it may be primarily accessible into the depths of the Deepstone Crypt in the raid, which I think is actually a fairly fair point if some of the things that we're going to likely learn in the Deepstone Crypt are kept to the raid, rather than making them a worldly searchable, since we're on the Ubbles this evening.
A discoverable?
Hikeable?
It's a discoverable, searchable. You have to search for the searchables, and you discover the discoverables when you're hiking in the hikeables.
I feel like this is turning into a country song. We should switch to a ad break real quick before we get too far into that.
Yeah, we really should.
An adable.
Yeah. An adable. God, just ad break, please.
Hey, I'm Tom.
And I'm Stuart.
And we're from the Dungeons & Dragons Lorecast.
We talk about all things connected to D&D lore.
And we're on the Robots Radio Network. So if you're into Dungeons & Dragons or you're into lore, then come check us out. You can find us on any podcatcher, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, wherever you get podcasts.
Roll more dice.
That's the Dungeons & Dragons Lorecast.
Now that we're back from the adable, we're going to get on our pikeables and go back to the hikeables.
Oh my god, I have to find that country song now. I think it's Trace Adkins.
Chat's helping me find all the new words.
On a pikeable.
On a pikeable.
Come on, chat. We need more.
I'm going to shove a pikeable up something,
Embrace
so
the
let's
hikeable.
move
Vero,
on.
Hikeable is the greatest word I've heard today.
So we mentioned, right before that break, we mentioned the Dark Empire. I would strongly argue that is going to be connected to Aramis. the reason why I kind of mentioned that is because it's also described as, quote, a new power is born out of the ancient pyramid ship above Europa's frozen frontier, and a dark empire has risen beneath. So the dark empire that is in question is basically the catalyst for Guardians, that we're also, like, we're coming to Europa for answers, but we're also going to be kind of trying to put this new threat down, because as Guardians, that's pretty much how we operate, is we just respond. We don't really proactively do things. We just react to things. Sorry, chat's going off on. So and they go further to explain this new empire is it's the splintered houses of the fallen have rallied and built their new empire on the icy moon of Europa. Brave the unrelenting glacial frontier, infiltrate the Golden Age Braytech facility, and uncover the secrets that lie deep under the ancient ice. So, I mean, there's a lot of potential just within that right there, that connects what we've just mentioned, right? You know, it's we got Aramis, we have the Clovis Bray facility, which is going to be the Deepstone Crypt. You know, there's all sorts of things going here. The other thing is I get the feeling that we're going to have kind of a mirror mission of what we found with the Ishtar Academy with the Stranger, because she's calling us to this place, it feels like. And I think that's going to be kind of, I really am hoping that that's kind of what we get, is like this kind of similar layout to it. Because that was seriously one of my favorite things, was how they revealed the Exo Stranger with the Ishtar Academy. I think that would be really cool. The other thing is that we do have confirmation that the Fallen are actually able to use the dark power of the pyramids. The Fallen is described as the Fallen, now under the leadership of Aramis. The Fallen Kel look to exploit a dark power to grow their strength. And it goes on to say that this ancient power clouds our focus and tempts us with darkness. Stasis whispers in your ear before you even arrive. So we actually seem to have become exposed to stasis before we even get to Europa. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Within the trailer, again, I believe it's the Exo Stranger at this point that says this, but she says, Europa has been home to darkness for some time now. Its history could be the key to our fight. Help me unlock it. The deepest secrets of Europa are now within our grasp. And then also from, I think this was from the hub page, or no, this was from the Europa Spotlight. It says, a dark obelisk silently beckons you, watching from a barren clearing on the frozen moon. Those who came before you did not leave this place gracefully. The ruins of a once bustling cityscape tell a tale of ambition and loss. And somewhere beneath centuries of ice, lost Golden Age technology awaits your steady grasp. Seek the truth wherever it lies.
Well, that's an interesting little bit, because Europa was always just kind of assumed.
There's a couple things I have out there, but yeah, go for it.
I was just going to say, it was always assumed that if Europa was anything, we've only ever heard about the Deepstone Crypt as a possibility on Europa. So the idea of a colony itself having a city on Europa is interesting. It would make sense if it functioned similarly to, I'm trying to think of the name of the actual grouping on Titan. My brain just keeps going to
Arcology?
Kraken Mare, but the Arcology, yeah.
Mm-hmm. New
Pacific Arcology.
Yeah, New Pacific Arcology. I think it's going to be very similar to what we saw with Freehold. And we know that it was a station for Clovis Bray that they sent scientists to, because we have a couple items within Destiny 2 that actually talk about scientists being stationed there. I can't remember. It's one of the exotic ships that we just got recently. They're complaining because they're getting sent out to Europa, and there's a couple comments where, you know, they're like, oh, the old man's going to be there, and blah blah blah. We have to be on our best behavior, yada yada. Which also kind of connects into Clovis Bray and the Sisyphus project. In my brain, at least, that was the connection there. So I'm curious to see how. I get the feeling that it's going to be a combination of Freehold from Mars and then also the Revelation story from the moon. Because the comment that those who came before us did not leave gracefully makes me, that seems like it's going to be much similar to Revelation. And then the other nice thing that I like here is that somewhere beneath centuries of ice, lost golden age technology awaits your steady grasp. So it's another little bit of a nod to the time difference that we've had since the golden age. It's just another like little nugget of like, yeah, there's been centuries past, which it aligns with some of the other stuff that Drifter has said and some of the stuff that Eris has said. These other people have kind of mentioned. This just kind of is another little tick on that as well.
Is there anything in particular you're excited for, Orchid, with Europa?
I'm just really I don't know. I'm just like chewing at the bit. I just really want to do the raid. I really want to see the Deep Stone Crypts. We've been hearing about it, and it's always just been kind of like mentioned in whispers and just as asides, and we still don't know a whole lot about it. And like the more we learn about it, getting closer and closer to like the actual release of Beyond Light, the more we can infer. But I'm actually interested to see like what they're going to do with the Vex, and I'm really like, after seeing that last trailer, when you see the Vex and the EXO at like the same station, I'm just like, I want to know more about that. And kind of like the creation of the EXOs and like what, I don't know, like how the Vex are
especially
involved.
Since we had that image in one of the trailers of the Vex back to back with an EXO frame.
That's what I'm talking about. At the same station, just both
figure out what's going
together.
on there.
Just like, I want to know more about that.
I kind of want a Fry File style explanation in game. It's obviously way too late for anything like that to ask for a voice actor to have these descriptors of this area is used for blah 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 because of blah. So it would be nice to have something like that, and I kind of hope they go that route since they did it on Mars, but we didn't have that on Titan or anything like that. A question that popped up in chat. This is one I've seen on Twitter quite a few times, and it's a fairly easy one to explain. Lada Rin asked, what happened to it's on Enceladus or Enceladus? And
Enchiladas, I think.
Not enchiladas. Could be, but it's not. Really easy explanation for it is they're referring to the mission Cade Stash. There's a secret message that he gives to Petra that if you decode it, it says it's on Enceladus or Enceladus or enchiladas, whatever. And the thing that it was always assumed that it meant the Deep Stone Crypt. It's actually never been confirmed that that's what he meant. So there could be a totally another thing on Enceladus that Cade is referring to that may be something important that Petra needs to know that she didn't already know. Like, why would Petra need to know where the Deep Stone Crypt is? I don't know. So we'll see what happens with that one in particular. Time will tell. But we are actually getting pretty close, and we're going to be trying really hard to stick to about a 45-minute episode for you guys, so it's not too long for you guys to consume in podcast form. Blue, do we want to start doing final thoughts for the moment, or for the intro episode?
I think that would be a great kind of place to wrap up. I think for the advanced session, we'll jump into the segment that Bungie refers to as like the Frozen Frontier, and then also talk about the weather a little bit there, because there's some really cool technical developments that they did with that that I really am excited to talk about. But as far as like the storyline, I'm really excited to see where they go with it. Not just because I'm really curious how they're going to explain stasis, but also because this feels like it's going to be another kind of Forsaken-esque, or not Forsaken, Shadowkeep-esque story addition to the story. Like, it's going to be another situation where humanity encountered the obelisk, encountered the pyramid ships, and what happened as a result of that. So we'll actually get to see, I'm hoping hoping that we get to see a development similar to what happened to Revelation, but this time from a Clovis Bray team. Because if you remember, the Revelation team was not Clovis Bray. They teamed up with Clovis Bray, but they were not affiliated with Clovis Bray. And Clovis Bray seems to be painted as the, air quote, experts of alien technology, I think is the way they described it, within the Golden Age. So seeing their reactions to the pyramid ships, I'm actually really kind of curious. And also there's hints and possible, explanations to the origin of exos and the origin of other potential developments from Clovis Bray that might explain some really cool things.
Orchid, any final thoughts for you before we go to break?
Not really. You guys pretty much said everything. I don't know. I'm just very stoked for the next season. I think we're all kind of in a drought, and
what are you talking about? My Postmaster is constantly full of those dark engrams.
I just wish you could delete them, and it wouldn't take 6 years to delete each one. That's my only complaint.
I think that's actually what we're going to see next season a little bit. I think we're going to see a little bit more of a drought, at least I'm kind of hoping we do, when it comes to rewards. Specifically those engrams, we might get like actual drops a little bit more, but
that'd be really nice.
Since the team is flooding our Postmasters with it now, and we're getting so much loot for that's just trash, I can really see them dialing it back and maybe getting a few focused things that are a little bit better rather than just throwing blues, 2 blues and a purple at us every Crucible match.
Automatic blue deletion win.
Oh my god, if only. But blue, I think we are good.
All right, well, yeah, shout outs. Shout out to Orchid. Welcome to the insanity.
Thank you.
And shout out to Green for putting up with me today, because I had a fun day today.
He was a cranky blue. It
Shoutables.
Was fun.
That's what this segment's called. Shoutables.
Shoutables.
I'm just gonna. I'm enjoying chat right now. I love chat. They're enabling me. Get it? Green.
Oh my god. Really? And I actually am okay with that one because it's an actual word rather than these made up ones. I found the song. It's Diamond Rio.
Oh,
I did. It's Diamond Rio.
Hashtag we are very serious podcast.com.
Yeah. Let's say goodbye, Blue.
All right. Well, wanted to say thank you for your time. And until next time, remember, with wisdom we conquer, stand strong, stand tall, and keep exploring. With that, we'll begin to wrap the chat up. Thank you again to those over on Twitch for coming to spend your evening with us. If you'd like to join us for the live streaming of the episodes, please be sure to give us a follow over on twitch.tv/FocusedFireChat. Links to all our episode archives can be found at www.thelorenetwork.com. Please be sure to email us at focusedfirechat@gmail.com with any comments and or questions for the team concerning the podcast, and let us know how we're doing by giving us some feedback and a rating over on iTunes as well. So until next time, focus your fire and may your light shine bright.
You've been listening to a Robots Radio podcast. Smart shows for interesting people. Check out all the shows at robotsradio.net.